Hey, you guys, welcome back to my channel. Down the Rabbit Hole News, I am the Rabbit. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me while we review this Buzbee lawsuit. Now, I want to shout out BJ Investigates, that Surprise Witness TV, who actually got me a copy of these documents. Shout out to her. She's been hooking it up with documents, and shout out to all the supporters that, support me in getting court documents when I need to download something. Shout out to you guys. Y'all are amazing. Thank you again for your continued support. Let's read this Buzbee lawsuit now. For those that don't know who the heck Buzbee is, well, Buzbee is that attorney who basically said that he's representing 120 victims of Diddy in the civil matter, right? And as of recent, this bombshell news dropped where apparently a John Doe is going after Buzbee. He's accusing him of extortion and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, this John Doe is a John Doe who is described as a prominent figure, and this lawsuit was filed in Superior Court of the state of California, County of LA, Los Angeles. So let's get into this lawsuit. Let's review it. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments as we are talking about it. Let's go. Now, the law firm that is filing this is Quinn Emanuel and Sullivan LLP. These are the attorneys for the John Doe. Let's get into the details of this. So, complainant John Doe, by and through his attorneys, bring this complaint against defendants, the Buzbee law firm, and Anthony G. Buzbee for extortion, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a civil harassment restraining order. The plaintiff, John Doe, is the victim of a scheme by defendant Anthony G. Buzbee and his firm, the Buzbee Law Firm, shamelessly attempting to extort exorbitant sums from him or else publicly file wildly false, horrific allegations against him. Defendants have threatened to unleash entirely fabricated and malicious allegations of assault, including multiple instances of R-ing of a minor, both male and female, against plaintiff if he refuses to comply with their demands. These baseless accusations are nothing more than a weapon in a calculated plot to destroy plaintiff's high-profile reputation for profit, despite the complete absence of any factual basis for such claims. It continues. This is not the first time defendants have been involved in an extortionate scheme to extract money from high-profile individuals by threatening baseless legal actions. Just 3 years ago, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigations, opened an extortion investigation in connection with defendants' clients' pursuit of football player Deshaun Watson for allegations of sexual misconduct. According to Watson's then attorney, the FBI investigated whether one of the Buzbee claimants against Watson had committed extortion in a way that they were demanding money, or what they would do if he didn't pay up. Ultimately, the criminal cases defendant threatened to pursue against Watson were rejected by 2 separate grand juries and were never criminally prosecuted. Further evidence, the baseless sexual misconduct claims in defendant's demand letter would not have upheld in civil court either. An example of how the defendants used the media as a weapon to further exert pressure on his high-profile targets, Buzbee publicly proclaims that he would submit affidavits from the alleged victims to police, but he never did. And the footnotes here reference specific articles where I believe maybe Buzbee might have been quoted saying that he was going to turn in, affidavits from these victims and basically didn't. Here's the question that I have. Is it typical for the FBI to get involved in civil matters like what they're alleging here, the Deshaun Watson case, or, if they feel like there is something about extortion coming through, like it makes you wonder what came out of that FBI investigation? Did they find something that would have said, yeah, this law firm is extorting people?
Or is this just something that's put out there in this lawsuit to basically give an example of the things that Buzbee does? Has there been instances where the FBI has been involved in civil matters regarding demand letters? Is that a thing? Let me know.
Defendants have also taken up representations against high-profile individuals who were targeted or set up by individuals seeking a payday. For example, defendants brought suit against rappers Yella Beezy and Chris Brown after 4 men snuck backstage to provoke them into an altercation. In addition to the shakedown, high-profile individuals with dubious claims he knows will not stand up in court. Buzbee often employs unscrupulous litigation tactics after filing suit. In one notable case, a federal court invalidated a referral agreement between Buzbee and a known fact witness in the case, which entitled the witness to 15% of the gross attorney fees awarded if the plaintiff was victorious. The court held that such agreements were invalid as a matter of public policy and prohibited Buzbee from paying the witness any fee. In another unscrupulous move to get a case heard in a favorable venue, Buzbee submitted venue pleadings and a client affidavit characterized as at best incorrect and at most fraudulent. After the defendant counsel notified Buzbee's firm that his client misrepresented facts that affected the trial's court venue determination, Buzbee unilaterally non-suited the case and refiled a substantially similar case in another favorable venue.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, he didn't have enough for a case, at least enough evidence to support his case. And so he basically decides, I'm going to stop the filing here and go file it somewhere else. Another judge might see it different. If I'm understanding this correctly with my non-lawyer mind, that's how that reads to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Buzbee has also allegedly used his connections when navigating the judicial system for his personal benefits. In a criminal case brought against him, Buzbee was arrested in March of 2016 for driving while under the influence. Hold up. So Attorney Buzbee was arrested in March of 2016 for driving while under the influence. Okay, well, I mean, hell, you over here talking about Diddy parties. I mean, I guess that's different than driving under the influence. But Harris County District Attorney Devon Anderson personally dismissed the case after Buzbee completed pretrial intervention. That seems like a lot of favoritism. I'm just saying, okay? The dismissal raised significant concerns because having the district attorney sign off on the dismissal was exceedingly rare. The pretrial intervention program generally lasts a year, while Buzbee's case was dismissed after 8 months, and there did not appear to be a formal contract for the DWI pretrial diversion program in Buzbee's file. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner used the controversial dismissal as part of a political attack ad in Mayor Turn's successful defense against Buzbee run for mayor in 2019, accusing lawyers from Buzbee's firm of donating to District Attorney Anderson while Buzbee's DUI case was pending. Ooh, I've known of attorneys that have gotten busted with DUIs. And a matter of fact, I remember I happened to be at a hearing, and these hearings are public. And one of them was of an attorney, very well known attorney. And he's basically facing the judge. The judge is just giving him a slap on the wrist, because this is an attorney that has, he's appointed cases to, he's done different things with. So, I mean, I'm not at all surprised that you're an attorney and you have the connects and you know people. Yeah, your DUI can go away. Yeah, it'll be fine. Earlier in his career, Buzbee was selected to serve as a briefing attorney for the United States District Court Samuel B. Kent. Buzbee then gained a reputation for being on Judge Kent's favored lists. In 2001, 85 of Judge Kent's cases being handled by Buzbee's firm were transferred to another district court judge in the interest of the improved administration of justice. Judge Jerry Buckheimer, then Chief Judge of the Northern District of Texas, commented that the transfer was uncommon, unusual, and he did not think we could do that. Buzbee represented several victims of the 2005 explosion at the BP's Texas refinery. On October 6th of 2006, Judge Kent entered a crucial order requiring BP's CEO to be deposed in the case. An anonymous source reported to the press that minutes after Judge Kent ordered the deposition, Judge Kent jumped in Buzbee's Aston Martin to go to lunch. Aston Martin? Wow. I mean, that's quite the car, y'all. Every time I hear Aston Martin, y'all, I cannot help but hear the Drake and Rick Ross song. Anyways, let me stop.
Knock it off.
Whatever. Within weeks of Judge Kent's order, Buzbee settled his case with BP. In 2009, Judge Kent pled guilty to obstruction of justice and acknowledged that he had non-consensual sexual contact with two women. Non-consensual contact with two women. Buzbee. Okay. Judge Kent was sentenced to 33 months in prison. Although 4 articles of impeachment were passed by the House of Representatives against Judge Kent resigned before his trial in the Senate concluded. Defendants pursued claims they know will not stand in court of law, but target high-profile individuals who fear being tried in court of public opinion. Could be worse than going along with the racket. Defendants do so through a combination of sending a demand letter with vague allegations, horrific conduct, then amplifying the message broadly in the press. Well, let me stop right here. Did Buzbee take a stand against Judge Kent when these allegations came out and after his sentencing? Because here you are, Buzbee, doing a speech about how you're here to support victims and, what's happening to you is a shakedown. I mean, it's expected that people are going to look into you guys, into Buzbee and whatnot. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Y'all feel like this is a complete Buzbee shakedown? Anything is possible. I just want you guys to let me know in the comments what you think. Defendants pursued claims they know will not stand up in court of law, but target high-profile individuals who fear being tried in court of public opinion. Could be worse than going along with the racket. Defendants do so through a combination of sending a demand letter with vague allegations of horrific conduct and then amplify the message broadly in the press. If Buzbee and firm know that these claims can't stand up in a court of law, but target certain high-profile individuals. I mean, I've said the same about Blackburn, that his tactics are similar. In that it seems to me, and like I said, I have feelings about Blackburn. I feel like he is very shady, in my opinion, and he picks up these high-profile cases pro bono, and then kind of like moves kind of sketchy, and really, we don't really know what the outcome of his cases have been with these high-profile ones. Maybe they settled, maybe they haven't. I definitely know that at least the Nicki Minaj, T.I. and Tiny, those have not been successful whatsoever in whatever he's tried to do. So are they saying that this is similar tactics that Buzbee does? Is that he puts out this information out there? He knows that the information can't stand up in court, but he expects people to settle because they don't want this shit out in the media, right? Earlier this year, defendants targeted football player Brandon McManus in what Mr. McManus attorneys deem an extortionate plot against threatening a public sexual assault lawsuit. The claims defendant threatened to file in court if Mr. McManus did not pay were investigated by the National Football League, who found insufficient evidence for the claims and closed the case. Now, in a fact pattern eerily similar to what Mr. Watson, Mr. McManus, and other high-profile targets were subjected to, plaintiff is on the receiving end of another one of defendants' extortionate plots. The defendants have an established pattern of making threats and then using third parties to contact the extortion victim, thereby acting as puppet masters, orchestrating their extortion plots from behind the scenes. They follow a clear playbook, fabricated outrageous allegations, sending a threatening demand letter through intermediaries, and weaponize the media to destroy their victims' reputations if they do not pay. This tactic applies relentless pressure while allowing defendant to distance himself from direct involvement, making their extortion even more insidious. If this is the case, right, the way that it's being painted out there, is this a situation where civilly this is the kind of stuff that's allowed and nobody calls it out? There's no laws to protect people. If what John Doe's attorney is saying is true, then you'd have to look into what is happening with Diddy as well. What is being done there? Are there similar tactics that are being described here that's being done over there? And if it's okay, then is there an issue at hand, right? Just a question out loud. By pulling the strings through third parties, defendants not only escalate the intimidation, but also shield their own actions from scrutiny, amplifying the harm to their victims while cloaking themselves in plausible deniability. Not anymore. In the wake of explosive allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, aka Diddy, Puff Daddy, we know the names, in lawsuits filed by 8 women and 1 man, resulting in his indictment for racketeering, sex trafficking by force, and transportation for purposes of prostitution, defendants have managed to find some 120 plaintiffs, half males and half females, including 25 minors, who claim to have been sexually assaulted by Combs and others. Much like other revelations in the hashtag #MeToo movement, the 8 women and 1 man suing Combs sought to find justice by proceeding in their own names in a court of law. Meanwhile, defendants have created a new pocket industry that capitalizes on the bravery of those victims who came forward to shake down innocent celebrities, politicians, business people with an army of mass accusers. Oh, okay, hold up. So much like other revelations of the Me Too movement, hashtag Me Too, the 8 women and 1 man suing Combs sought to find justice by proceeding in their own names in a court of law. Okay. Meanwhile, defendants have created a new pocket industry. So Buzbee created a new pocket industry that capitalizes on the bravery of those victims who came forward to shake down innocent celebrities, politicians, and business people with an army of mass accusers. So this is confusing. This attorney saying that the defendants are capitalizing out of people's braveries and coming forward, right? But these brave people are also shaking down innocent celebrities, politicians, and business people as a mass army of accusers. Okay, it's a lot going on there that's being said, but okay. Through the use of a hotline advertised at press appearances and on a website, defendants leveraged the media attention from the Combs allegations coming to light to send the message that there is money to be made by calling the hotline, and nobody would ever have to know it was you. Well, Gloria Allred did the same thing with the Talia Graves lawsuit, okay? Yeah, I mean, Gloria Allred did the same thing. She put out that little like information out there, disclaimer. I think we all saw it at the press conference, right? And she wouldn't answer questions. As a matter of fact, BJ kind of broke that down a little bit more, so shout out to her. With Combs behind bars and payment unlikely to be forthcoming anytime soon, defendants devised a scheme to obtain payment through the use of coercive threats from anyone with ties to Combs, no matter how remote, who was of sufficient means and reputation for defendant to expect they would pay an exorbitant sum of money rather than be named. Well, and Buzbee did say in an interview that people are paying, that celebrities are paying. Defendants specifically targeted high-profile individuals who have suffered immeasurable loss from being publicly accused of committing S acts, including drugging and R-ing minors, even if those allegations are false, in order to effectuate their campaign on widespread extortion and extract the maximum amount of money from as many high profile individuals as possible. Defendants concocted a narrative alleging the worst harm imaginable, including stories of alleged child victims, both males and females, who were as young as 9 years old at the time of their blame. Through a series of media statements and lawsuits describing the acts of unnamed individual defendants, Buzbee made his threats to his celebrity targets clear. Pay exorbitant sums of money to remain anonymous or be publicly named and shamed. Offer up to the FBI for criminal investigation and accuse of vile acts in statements to the media. Hold up. So I haven't read a demand letter, and I'm assuming a demand letter from Buzbee is going to be part of the discovery. But are the demand letters written in such a way that it basically says, listen, you cooperate with me by paying this money and you won't be named, you won't be named, and your information won't be offered to the FBI for like criminal investigation, and you won't be accused of vile acts in statements to the media. And if that's the case, though, wouldn't that be getting in between what could potentially be a federal case? Like if these demand letters are telling celebrities or these high profile people, pay this money and I won't release your information to the FBI. You're not going to report a crime if there is a crime, right? That this is a mess, y'all. After making the consequences of non-compliance with his shakedown clear, defendants closed in on their target, sending demand letters to high-profile individuals, including plaintiff John Doe, accusing them of participating in Combs' crimes. In November of 2024, defendants made demands by written correspondence, extortion demands to plaintiffs containing false allegations of vile conduct by plaintiff, who extortion demands characterized as having been friends with Combs based on the fact that the two often attended similar events frequent by celebrities. The extortion demands allege that plaintiffs blankbarred multiple minors, both male and female, who have been drugged at parties hosted by Combs. Now, in the extortion demands, defendants further threatened to find an untold number of other victims to bring claims similar against plaintiff. That because the specious allegations in the demand had been made, there would certainly be more. Defendants put a ticking clock on the extortion demand, threatening to take a different course if plaintiff did not commit to a confidential mediation to resolve this delicate and important matter by the deadline. Defendants' actions violate, and they list the rules that it violates, basically of the California Rules of Professional Conduct prohibiting attorneys from threatening to present criminal, administrative, or disciplinary charges to obtain an advantage in a civil dispute. Okay. Plaintiff presently faces a gun to his head, either repeatedly pay an exorbitant sum of money to stop defendant from the wide publication of false allegations of assault that would subject plaintiff to irreparably harm plaintiff's reputation, family, career, and livelihood, or else face the threat of untold number of civil suits and financial and personal ruin. The theme of defendants' statements and correspondence is the immediate and extensive threat of exposure if plaintiff fails to make a sufficient offer of money. This is textbook extortion. What do you guys think? Buzbee pretends to be speaking truth to power, but this is far from truth. Defendants claim to be investigating the facts, but the reality is that they're finding deep pockets and trying to smear all of them with the same brush. It is a cynical extortion scheme that is dressed up in vindicating victims of actual abuse. Defendants corrupting this righteous cause by trying to monetize the victimization of women who suffered at the hands of this one guy. Well, women and men. I would probably put that in there. Okay. Now, let's see what we can find out about this John Doe so far that we know. Again, he's John Doe, so we don't know his identity. But it said that John Doe is a celebrity and public figure who resides in Los Angeles. Now, we were trying to figure out, well, who could this John Doe be, right? That's, filing against Buzbee. He is a celebrity and a public figure who resides in Los Angeles. So as a public figure and celebrity, he was able to file as a John Doe. Okay. We talked about that in the Garth Brooks lawsuit. But this person is a public figure and celebrity in California. Plaintiff brings this action under the pseudonym John Doe to avoid irreparable harm to reputation that he seeks to prevent through this action. However, it sounds like plaintiff will disclose his identity to the courts through a seal in-camera filing or as the court otherwise deems appropriate. Now, we know who Tony Buzbee is. Jurisdiction, venue is City of Los Angeles. Okay. What the John Doe is saying here, or at least the attorneys, is that Buzbee and team is basically using the representation of Diddy's accusers to kick off a campaign of threats and harassments against those that are affiliated with Diddy, right? And they outline that paragraph that we've seen about the indictment that Combs relied on the employees, resources, and influence of a multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes as trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and all of that. We've seen this narrative in other lawsuits, okay? Now it says the Combs indictment does not mention any sexual misconduct by other celebrities or high-profile individuals. Well, at least they haven't been named that we know of, okay? When Buzbee had the press conference, they weren't dropping names or anything like that, right? And so they had this press conference and they announced this number that we all saw. But what John Doe is saying is that this basically allowed them to throw out a net to see what they would catch based on this number and the number of people that have been calling in. I think that's the best way to describe it, right? Like you throw out a net, see how much you can catch from that net, I guess. And it is said that Buzbee set the stage to bring claims against his victims despite an absence of evidence through the use of intimidation, stating, I have no doubt that there are people right now who know that they were somehow involved in this, who are now scrubbing their social medias, who are searching their memories, who are deleting their texts, probably deleting pictures and trying to distance themselves from this. We know who they are, or we will find out who they are. So this is not something that's going to happen overnight, but I think we're at the tip of the iceberg here. And to those who refuse to cooperate, Buzbee made the consequences crystal clear. What I am hoping is, and I'm encouraging my clients to make themselves available to federal authorities to tell their stories, and I expect the indictment will grow. So by saying this, and then if the demand letter, which I'm wondering if it's included here, I don't think it is, but we'll see. If the demand letter is saying that we'll keep you anonymous, we won't tell the feds, to me is given like, okay, that there's a bargaining situation. I pay up large amounts of money, and not only will my name not be out there in the media, but there would be no need to report to the feds. At the same time, you're telling these alleged victims that they need to make themselves available for the feds and that you're expecting this indictment to grow. And by the way, it has not grown, right? Like it's been expected that there would be like a superseding indictment. I think that's the word, superseding, but we have yet to see something. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. And by the way, I don't know if Sean Atwood is aware, when Buzbee went to Sean Atwood, his interview is being quoted here, and so is the transcript. Now, let's see if we can understand what this demand letter looks like that Buzbee wrote to this John Doe. Defendants targeted plaintiff for a shakedown. Defendants sent plaintiff multiple confidential written extortion demands in November of 2024, alleging a litany of vile sexual misconduct committed by plaintiff. The extortion demands falsely allege that plaintiff are two minors, male and female, multiple, who had been drugged at a party hosted by Combs. The extortion demands were the first time plaintiff learned of these allegations, none of which has any basis in fact. The defendant threatened in the extortion demands to immediately file a public lawsuit against plaintiff, repeating the same fabricated allegations against plaintiff, fabricated allegations unless plaintiff agreed to resolve the matter through mediation for money. Some of the allegations were a copy and paste of the allegations in the public complaint filed by defendants, with the obvious implication that defendant would amend that complaint if plaintiff refused to cooperate. Information and belief defendant used identical language to put plaintiff on notice that his name would be swapped in as one of the unnamed participants if he did not comply with defendant's demands. In the extortion demands, defendants further threatened to find an untold number of other victims to bring claims against plaintiff, but did not indicate he had any basis to believe such victims exist. This vile threat is preceded by the following bold sentence. It has been my experience that when someone does this to a victim once, the likelihood is that they have done the same or similar things to others. So if he's sending these demands letters to everybody, does it have that same exact sentence? Are all these demand letters the same? You guys, like this is just wow, okay? This is the only bolded sentence contained in the extortion demands, emphasizing its importance among other allegations and demands. Yeah, I mean, if I got a letter and it said that, and I went to a Diddy party, not that I would go, but I'm just saying, and it said that in bold letters, yeah, I'd be scared. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'd be like, what the hell's going on? On information and belief, defendants referred additional victims to put plaintiff on notice that defendant would find additional claimants to seek payment from plaintiff if plaintiff did not pay out the two claimants referenced in the extortion demands, meaning the amount of money defendants was seeking would balloon. Oh, the extortion demands also contain the web address, the Buzbee law firm, in bold, extra large font on the top. The website features a page dedicated to Sean Diddy Combs litigation that contains the video of defendant's October 1st, 2024 press conference, as well as a text touting defendant's experience representing victims in high-stake cases, including prominent lawsuits against various celebrities and corporations, and approach to litigation characterized by his aggressive tactics and willingness to take on powerful opponents. Now, I think this is a thing, right? Like these attorneys that take, high profile cases, they put that shit on their website. Blackburn had it. Like Blackburn was putting all these celebrity names on his website, and he had won one case of these celebrities against these celebrities. So I mean, I'm not surprised whatsoever by this. Now, defendants put a ticking clock on the extortion demands, threatening to take a different course if plaintiff did not commit to confidential mediation to resolve this delicate and important matter by the deadline, giving plaintiff a small window of time before making good on their threat. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure there. On information and belief, defendants intend to take a different course to be a reference to the threats he made in statements to the media, including that he would report plaintiff to the FBI, file an untold number of civil suits, and make further statements to the media accusing plaintiff of being a child artist. Okay, this is where I take issue. Okay, if the demand letter is this, then we have a problem with Buzbee's approach, because how is it that, like, that a crime was committed? Shouldn't that be at the forefront with the feds? You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to say, all right, I won't report crime. At least I didn't think it was this way. You don't report a crime unless you pay up. Okay, just weird how this sounds. After receiving the extortion demand, plaintiff contacts defendant to better understand the basis for the allegations made in the extortion demands and whether there was any evidence or real claimants behind those claims. Defendants divulge sensitive details pertaining to claimants' accounts in the extortion demands and a public lawsuit. Defendants refuse to provide any information, including the process for validating the claims, unless plaintiff entered into a confidentiality agreement. So, in order for me to find out what you're saying is true and you're making these allegations, I have to sign a confidentiality agreement? That don't sound right, y'all. Such an agreement would protect defendants from being exposed for their own unethical and illegal conduct. Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody, and I got some legal eagles in the chat, but why would that be ethical? You're sending me demand letters. You're telling me you know, this is how much I gotta pay. Then I'm like, all right, well, show me what you got. Then you don't show me what you got. In order for you to show me what you got, I have to enter some kind of a, what is it called? A confidentiality agreement about what you got without knowing what you have. That's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird. It's weird, but okay. After refusing to provide information supporting the legitimacy of the claims in the extortion demand, defendant Buzbee appeared on TMZ to confirm that the demand letters had been sent to multiple targets and threatened that if a dialogue fails, we will just file a lawsuit. Buzbee confirmed that he would be bringing claims against other celebrities, politicians, business people, because these were very popular parties and this was the venue everyone wants to be invited. He warned, if you were there and you knew somebody was being drugged because you had seen it happen in a previous party or previous situation and you didn't do anything, you allowed it to happen and you continue to enjoy yourself and have a good time. As far as I'm concerned, you're just as liable as the individual who shipped the person in, who paid the persons that were there. You're just as guilty as far as I'm concerned. This is a direct quote from Buzbee. So before we get to the actions, it basically says that plaintiff faces the risk of being falsely labeled with the most heinous accusations imaginable. I mean, yeah, R-ing 2 children, I would say is definitely heinous. And I have a lot of questions about what's going on, right? And basically it says that the fallout would be that would be harmful for his personal and professional life, destroying his career and his legacy. This is the law firm Quinn Emanuel. Okay. Now I'm looking at the exhibits and they're using, like, this one is the criminal complaint, the sealed indictment. Okay. They're using that as a exhibit. Now, one thing I was trying to see while I was looking through these exhibits, they're not using, like, this is Buzbee IG post. Here's another. For immediate release. Okay. What they're not using is the actual demand letter. Like, I was hoping to see this demand letter here and it's not. At least I haven't seen. But they're using like the press conference transcripts. They have those there. And that's like a gazillion pages. Is the Stephen A. Smith show interview with Buzbee. Okay. Another 78, 76 pages. Exhibit F. This is the law and crime interview. And again, the transcript. And this is where they're using Buzbee's words. Okay. Exhibit G. Interview transcript with Inside Diddy Freakoffs. This is Chris Hansen. So Chris Hansen, he did another interview. I mean, this guy has done a lot of interviews. I guess I haven't seen all these interviews. I would say the same amount as Ariel as far as interviews go. He's done a lot. Exhibit H. This is an interview with the TikToker. Wow. Okay. This guy really gets around with the interviews. Exhibit I. Now here is Sean Atwood's Atwood at Leash interview. This whole transcript is in there. And I'm looking for the demand letter. I don't see it, y'all. It's still going. And Exhibit J was the TMZ video. And this is probably, that's it. 235 pages of stuff. Well, from reviewing this, at least I got a good picture of Buzbee's background, his association to this judge that was convicted, you know, R-ing some victims. Kind of wonder what stance Buzbee took then. Did he support? What did he do? Because here you are representing victims of crimes. Yeah, Buzbee's got a lot of red flags, y'all. At the same time, some of you guys might feel like this is a shakedown rabbit. That's what this is. If you guys feel that way, I mean, let me know in the comments. Where do you guys stand? Now, since the recording of this, I guess there's been this new lawsuit that has been filed against Buzbee, which we did talk about that on a live video. I guess somebody pulled a story about Buzbee in 2017 or 2016. He was on a date with a woman who basically destroyed his art. This was a huge scandal in the area where Buzbee's from in Texas. So that has also been circulating again online. I mean, these are just some of the things that have been happening with Buzbee. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.